It was in 2013 that we first began reporting on the missing nuclear weapons from Dyess Air Force Base in West Texas. As I began to file this report on the road with my family, fire trucks drove by, which is just fitting to signify the type of crisis this country and the world's in. It had been a few years before that 6 air-launched cruise missiles had come up missing from the Minot base in North Dakota, and they weren't discovered until they'd been shipped to a major Air Force base in Louisiana. Within 1 week of that story breaking, 6 people had mysteriously been gunned down or killed in different ways at that Air Force base in Minot. Now, why do I preface the beginning of this transmission with that? A lot of people keep asking me, will they set off a low yield or a tactical nuke in D.C. to stop the Trump inauguration and try to basically derail the whole populist movement? And I haven't really responded to that because we don't have any hard intel on it. We don't have any chatter. I don't have any sources on that fact. But I have to ask myself, if Obama would fund ISIS and Al-Qaeda taking over multiple countries in the Middle East and Africa and killing hundreds of thousands of people and overthrowing non-radical regimes and putting every Christian they find to the sword, then the answer is yes. If the people controlling Obama would launch major wars in the last 3 years in places like Ukraine and start a war with Russia and move U.S. troops to the border with Poland and have all sorts of other provocative actions being put in place and the federalizing of elections and be acting like they don't intend to leave, then anything is possible. I want to be clear before the national media picks this up and lies and says that I'm saying there's going to be a nuclear attack in D.C. on Trump's inauguration come up in 5 days. I'm not saying that. I'm going to be there with my crew covering it on the ground. And if the globalists did try something like that, it would end up blowing up in their face because the populist movement worldwide is exploding, nationalism is exploding, and the people are on to this corporate form of world government. I mean, there were it's no exaggeration, more than 10 major articles in AFP, AP, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, just this weekend, admitting that at the Davos meeting in Switzerland, the globalists admit they're in crisis. They hope the communist Chinese can prop them up. They admit the public's awake to their planetary program, so now it's in trouble because they always wanted to operate by stealth. That was in the Banff Canada documents 2007 from their whole North American Union meeting, that it was key to keep it all stealth. Well, if it's not stealth, it's dead on arrival. And so Trump is only surfing in on the populist movement, just like the Brexit, just like Nigel Farage, just like I am, just like we all are. I keep explaining I'm not who's important. It's you, the listeners, you, the activists around the world. All the other racial division, religious stuff, that's a distraction the globalists use to divide us. Don't we all agree we don't want foreign, multinational, mega banks above the law, totally ruthless, tax exempt, running our lives? Yes, we all agree that's wrong. 99.9% of us. I mean, we're talking less than 1/10 of 1% actually even benefit from this thing. Their ideology is to pull up the carpet, is to pull up the ladder so that none of us can become self-sufficient. It's all about economic enslavement. It's all about turning us from owners into renters. That's their admitted plan under Cloward and Piven and so many other documents, but so many other public statements. That's why I harp on Obama telling Africans they can't have cars or air conditioning, but he lands in a jumbo jet, Air Force One, with 10 other major jets behind him and 1,000-strong entourage and over 200 Secret Service. Sometimes he has 1,000 Secret Service when he travels. I mean, it's just insane how disconnected, how arrogant, and how elitist these people are, but it's all coming to a massive head. So everybody keeps asking me, do you think a nuke will go off? Well, here's some background. The military has devices, spectrometers, you name it, that are able to see different radioactive isotopes even through heavy shielding. So it'd be very hard to bring a nuke into D.C. because there will be helicopters, there are satellites, there are other aircraft that are scanning that area for it being brought in. If something was there, it would have to be under 20, 30, 40 feet of concrete. And that's declassified stuff from the 80s. The word is they've got stuff even more powerful. They can see even deeper than 30, 40 feet of steel reinforced concrete. So if something does get snuck in and detonated, it's a very good chance that the powers that be were involved because they've got technologies to stop it. Whenever you drive into the Texas border or out of Mexico or out of Canada into, say, New York State, you'll notice all these big devices and a lot of antennas pointed out at your car. Those are radioactive snoopers. I'm not an engineer. I've just read about it and seen it and driven to the border with engineers, and they've explained it to me, and I've gone and looked it up. So, again, they've got all sorts of stuff. And if a nuke does go off, you better believe it's the shadow government wanting to use COG to get power. In fact, there are 4 doomsday machines that, again, are big jets loaded with continuity government systems. So in case Congress ever got taken out by a nuke and or the president or both, that they would be able to successfully continue the government. The problem is that in many other countries, COG systems have been used actually to seize control of the government. Because if something's a shadow government, if something's a separate government, if something has control of the government, if you're wanting to actually hijack it from the elected government, what do? Well, you take out the elected government, and then you install yourself. Or with different people in the elected government, you countermand other people in the elected government and circumvent and have a coup that way. And what's happened is the globalists, by infiltration and economic takeover, are already taken over the U.S. Trump is a manifestation, and our movement's a manifestation of restoring the republic. That's why I hammer on the fact that we are getting our country back right now. People ask, is Trump real? Folks, he's going after big pharma that charges us the most in the world. He's going after vaccines. He's going after NAFTA and GATT. He's going after TPP. He's going after the gun control. He's going after the open borders. He's going after the fact that they set our taxes the highest in the world so corporations wouldn't have their businesses based here. He's already brought back over $100 billion of investment for 2017. It hasn't even been in office yet. There's already $1.2 trillion more in the stock market, and it goes on and on. But more importantly, he's discredited the mainstream media. He stood up as a real leader. He's not going to Reykjavik. He's not going to Davos over in Switzerland. He's going to Reykjavik to meet with Putin. They're announcing this meeting as his first major meeting to point out that it's leaders of countries that meet and make decisions, not a bunch of bankers meeting in Davos behind the scenes with other heads of state engaged in open treason. See, what the globalists have done is try to normalize treason, normalize openly having secret agreements, transferring power, all getting together, convincing themselves that since it's okay for them to get away with it, that supposedly it's okay overall. No, it's not okay. And so it's a giant con game that is coming down around them, and they're scared. They know they're going to get prosecuted when Trump gets in. Not because Trump's even vindictive, but because it's justice and it has to be done, and Sessions is going to go after him. Notice they said that Obamacare was invincible and can never be repealed. Now you see it's being repealed, even before he's in office. It's already passed with the Senate, now it's in the House. The Senate was the hard part. And Trump pointed out, he said, I could let you keep having this in 2017 and not beat it, not repeal it, but then it would hurt the country so bad that it might be irreversible. I would get major political points against the Democrats, but instead we're going to repeal it because it's the right thing to do. You see, that's what a true leader does. Now, getting back to the nuke, I'll make this short and sweet. I hope no nuke goes off, but you cannot put it past these people to do anything, or a financial collapse, which is the equivalent of a financial hydrogen bomb. The big thing it looks like they're pushing for is more media hoaxes, more dossiers, more made-up internet files they call dossiers to give it credibility. Okay, so you've got that to deal with. Also, they've been busing in tens of thousands of people on the Soros and Ford Foundation payrolls to try to cause as much civil unrest as possible, and they admit try to shut down the inauguration. So that's an act of sedition right there. Because it's not like they're protesting something the government's done, which is their First Amendment, which I totally support. They're protesting the people's vote and our president coming in and trying to shut down him getting into office and trying to shut down him getting into the White House and trying to go along with rogue groups in our government to hijack control of our country. See, that's an outside foreign power doing that. And that's why you see the communist Chinese openly admitting they're buying up Hollywood to bolster the takeover of America. And you read the news, I mentioned earlier, that the elite hope the Chinese communists can help the New World Order survive. They're openly calling on foreign powers to help them with money and boycotts and you name it to, quote, get our president in line. While they tell us that he secretly is meeting and worked with the Russians when it's Hillary that got caught doing that. See, they're nakedly worshiping China, working with China, using their economic muscle and more to operate illegally in this country against the American people. And then they have the nerve to say that Trump is this outside traitor or enemy. This is the arrogance. So he's going to Reykjavik to meet with Putin for world peace, acting like a real leader, just like Reagan did with Gorbachev 30 years ago. Meanwhile, they're trying to bring the country down and trying to sabotage our electoral process. And as Obama gets ready to leave office, he's signing thousands of documents and just incredible piles of regulations every day. And on every front, it's terrible things that ruin the economy and hurt the American people. That's what a nasty piece of crap globalist Obama is, carrying out his operation that he's sworn to do. See, it's not just rhetoric when I say they're evil and out to get us. That's their philosophy. That's their plan. The American system must fail and must fall because it competes with their global government that picks the winners. These are our sworn enemies. So, yes, I think they could set off a nuke. I'm not saying they are. But clearly we've had nukes missing before, and so I think people asking that question are very smart, and that's something that has to be looked at. But I think the race riot angle and other things like that are probably what will happen, but that may not even happen because they failed to sell this whole Trump was a Russian agent narrative. And no matter how hard they push with all these fake civil rights leaders and other race pimps, it's only blown up in their face because the next big turning is here. The tipping point is here. You cannot deny that, and that's why I'm so excited. We are witnessing incredible history. I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. I'm traveling back to Texas tomorrow, and I'll be back in studio. Took off a few weeks with the family, but it's been a working vacation, and it's been good to be out here and to see what's happening in other corners of the nation. But back to David Knight hosting the worldwide broadcast.
Talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Deeply, I think, racist.
I just got called racist by MSNBC.
I don't want that man to have a gun.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
The Alex Jones Show. Watch the free stream live at Infowars.com/show.